Okay guys, I'm back. Wanted to grab a couple more things before I kind of proceeded with the kind of up close look at this figure. I have exchanged the mouthpieces from the kind of neutral position to the more the frowning sort of mouth. I like that, especially if with the eyes in the position that they are currently. I really like the fact that that mouth really sort of fits, especially if he's sort of looking down in a way as opposed to straight on. I think that look really works. Anyways, I wanted to show you that. I want to show you a couple other things. I was talking about the boots in my last little part segment here, and if you can see here, you can see this sort of scaly portion of the side of the boot. It's supposed to be like a Gore-Tex sort of material. And here you can see much closer the separation between the shoe point and where the boot would continue. And you can also see this little portion here that kind of bridges sort of both sides of the boot. And I said that sort of hid the joint. So here's the actual Dark Knight Rises boot. So you can see that. I know it's black, but you can see the scaly portion comes up to that portion I was talking about that jumpers both sides, and you can see it. So it would hide where the ankle joint would be. So they did well to choose to break it at that point. But of course, the scaly part on the Hot Toys version of this does not come all the way down to that point. I'll show you that. Maybe that's just a nitpick, but that's why I prefer it as one piece of boot. See, it does kind of come down there, but it should come down a little bit lower. Anyway, that's just a nitpick. The bottom of the sole is also quite right. You see this little circular portion of the grip, how the pattern kind of moves around, and then he's got the point where at the bottom of the heel where he in the Batman Begins, he calls, using the sonar transmitter in there, he calls the bats, and that matches the bottom of the boot. You see, there's the circle point up at the top near where the ball of the foot would be, and the tread kind of coming around it, and there's the sonar portion there. So the boot tread is good. Only part that doesn't work is this part here where the scaling Gore-Tex portion of the boot should meet the shoe portion of the boot. Sorry, it was not focused when I did that. In the back of the tread, the back of the heel of the boot, you can see it's like that. And when I come back up here, if you look at the back, they got that part right. So, not too bad. That's it's a decent representation of the costume, for sure. It could be a lot worse. The other versions of the Batman figure also got that part right, as well as the tread. Alright, so I'm going to put him off to the side here for a moment. Actually, no, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to show you the cowl. Talked about the ridges of the cowl here on the side, the head here, and the cheekbone, and then the center pleat between the eyes there. And then I talked about the height between the tip of the ear and the head. So here is the cowl. I'll show you that there. So center point at the top of the nose, the frown points there, and then I rotate the cowl, the cheekbone point. If you look, the distance between the top of the ear and the head, crown, and that proportions are quite correct this time. And the DX02 was not correct. DX02 ears were too long and the head was too narrow. And the head should be wider. See? Okay, so anyway, that's enough of that. I'll move that off to the side, and I'll move Batman off, and I'll show you what else is in the box. Sorry for the jittering camera. My first attempt at this. Okay, so in the box when you lift up this tray, you reveal a few things, and you get a neck piece right there that actually is now on the bottom of this bale sculpt. You get another part of the belt, which is the way they did the belt before, which is where all these interlinks are all actually kind of a solid piece of plastic. Whereas on the new belt that I showed you the first time, that belt, which was here, all the interlinks are actually independent and individual. Mine is not so good, it's sort of breaking. You get wrist posts, always happy to have more of those. And you get the 4 spare hands, obviously to hold the different weapons and gadgets that he's got. All with the Kevlar knuckles, and in fact, it's not working so good. You can see the tricot material on around the hand, and then the pleating around the knuckles. And if I had my gloves with me, I'd show you that too, but I don't happen to have them with me. But that's all good. So going back to the weapons case here, bouncing back and forth, no efficiency here. It's this video, sorry guys. Okay, so of course you get the electromagnetic pulse gun. As many people have talked about, there's sort of no weathering, texturing. I'm okay with that. It's a brand new piece of tech for him, so he wouldn't have had that. Although I would have preferred to see maybe a version of this with the bullet where the police officer shot. Sorry, spoilers there. Where the police officer shot that portion. I haven't pulled the little tab out to show the lighting up of the gun here, but I hear that it's basically, if you look at the tip here, there's actually only one LED in there, and the rest are sort of like fiber optic sort of little pieces of translucent plastic that allow you to kind of transmit the light from that LED through the rest of the APA gun. So you get the standard, you get its grapnel gun. I'm assuming this piece here, sorry, my hand went away. This piece here is probably meant to adhere one of those pieces to his belt. You get the sticky bomb gun, which is my first kind of one of those. And then you get the 2 batarangs and the 2 mines. Anyways, once you move that top foam layer out of the way, you get access to the rest, which is the cape in here. You get the tool to pry out the mouthpieces out of the cowl, and you get the kind of crotch support stand portion, and then you get the base. The base is kind of it seems like a hard plastic, obviously representing stone, and then the wintering effects there. That's really nice. And then a standard DX base with the lights. You can put the batteries in and show your finger off and burn out a whole ton of batteries and pollute the environment. But anyways, that's there for actually maybe those were plug-in points now. Yeah, and the cape. So I haven't opened the cape up yet. I'm going to do a little part on the cape because capes for me are always my biggest nitpicks, because I actually have the cape from the movie, which is a flocked parachute silk, and these capes kind of never get the job done, in my opinion. So anyways, I can open this up before I make a judgment call on it, and let you know how it kind of fares against the real cape, and actually show you the real cape versus the actual Hot Toys cape. Anyways, I'll be back. Okay guys, as promised, I'm back with the cape. My view on the cape. So the cape is quite a bit different now. It seems to be like a very light felt with a sheen on the inside. Now that's good. It should not be 2 pieces of material. It should actually just be 1 piece of material. And so it could be that they've flocked a kind of a nylon-y sort of material with this felt, because it's not glued, so it is 1 piece, and it should be a sheen on the inside because it should be silk that's flocked. This is not silk, but this is, yeah, I think it's a nylon, and it should have a texture to the outside that really dark. And the key to the cape is, and you guys have seen the movies, is that it billows in the wind. It's almost lighter than the air. The way it flows. And so here's the actual cape. So I actually have an actual version of the cape from Batman Begins. And what you'll see is the material on the outside. It's one piece. And I know it's really dark, and that's the point. This blocks, because Nolan, when he spec'd this material, was looking for something that was dark, and they could, that he could almost hide in the shadows. So it's almost like a felt, but it is a flocked silk. You can see the silk in there, and you can see on the outside, you can see the actual material. And the cape is huge. If you guys have seen Batman Begins, you know when he drops down in the building and he floats to the bottom of the staircase. His cape is quite long. This cape is about 5 meters in length, and it should spread out. And in fact, when I walk around in it in Halloween and I do my different charity things, the cape does float in the air. It does billow in the air like a flag, and that's the way this one should be. Now, there's a figure. Obviously, they don't have the money to spend on a cape like this. That's flocked silk, but. Anyway, this cape is closer to the actual movie cape than all of the other capes that I have seen. Probably something you could do that would be closer, that would give the same look, would be like a velvet sewn with a two-piece of material, but then you kind of lose that sort of effect that it's one piece. And then of course the velvet is heavy, especially when it gets wet, which is why they didn't use that in the film. They used a parachute silk. So anyways, this is my look at the cape. I'm going to try and adhere it on. It looks like they've got these little clips that sort of clip under the shoulder piece of the figure there and there. So I'm going to try and clip that on. I've heard it's could be a bugger, but anyways, I'm going to give it a shot and see what I get, and then give you a final look at the figure. But yeah, here's the two capes side by side. One, cape is not black enough, the Hot Toys version, and two, it is not quite the right material, but it's better than the other ones. All right, thanks.